The mind is fickle. The mind is like a horse, and we hold the reins of that horse in our hands. If we wish, we can control our mind and make it do whatever we want. Alternatively, we can let go of the reins and let our minds wander aimlessly. Everything depends on us, on the desires that arise within our minds. Behind those desires, somewhere, we are the ones present. Sometimes we understand this fact, and sometimes we fail to comprehend it. If we can learn to empty our minds in some way, we can insert thoughts into our minds that can calm the constant chatter in our minds. The flood of thoughts that runs through our minds is, in reality, the biggest cause of our sorrows. Anything or anyone gives us pain directly later on, but before that, we are already experiencing pain within our thoughts, and the only cause of that pain is our thoughts. Therefore, if we want to calm the chatter of our minds, we cannot do it by ourselves, nor can any knowledge or advice calm the chatter in our minds. However, our mind can understand this through a story. How can the constant chatter of our minds be silenced? That's why, after listening to this story until the end, the constant chatter in your mind will become completely calm. In a city, there lived a young man named Ankit. He had a problem, and his problem was that his mind always wandered. His mind was filled with negative thoughts all the time, and the constant chatter in his mind never stopped. So, he used to think something else, but it turned out to be something quite different. Sometimes, he would think about his past, wondering what if he had taken a different path, how different his life might have been. Or he would worry about his future, fearing what would happen if he failed. Thoughts filled with negativity and concerns about failure frequently plagued his mind. Have you ever tried to understand your mind, to empty it even a little? Upon hearing this, Ankit replied, I have made many attempts to understand my mind, but the more I try to understand it, the more mysterious it becomes. At that moment, the Buddhist monk handed Ankit a pot and said, Go, fill this pot with small stones and bring it back. Ankit went and began filling the pot with small stones from the ground. As he filled a few stones, the rest started falling to the bottom. The Buddhist monk, smiling, said, Now, consider this pot as your mind and understand the thoughts as these stones. Ankit continued filling the pot with more stones, but they kept falling to the bottom. The Buddhist monk cautioned him, Stop for a moment and observe. Now, you cannot put more stones into the pot. If you want to put more stones into it, you will need to remove the old stones. Ankit understood the lesson and said, I see, Guruji. You mean I need to empty my mind of existing thoughts to make space for new ones? The Buddhist monk smiled and said, First, listen to my entire explanation, and then empty your mind. The Buddhist monk went on to explain that the mind is like an inverted pot because, you can fill the pot with stones, but you can never fill your mind entirely with thoughts, because the mind is always empty. Ankit got confused, and said, Guruji, I do not understand your teachings. Why do we want to empty a mind that is naturally empty? Then what is the need to empty the mind? The Buddhist monk said, From this pot remove one stone at a time. The young boy did the same as instructed. He started removing stones one by one from the pot, and by doing this the pot was finally empty. The Buddhist monk said, Did you see, when you removed stones one by one from the pot it became empty? Now you can put any stones in this pot. You can put new stones into it or old stones. You can fill it half or full. Ankit said, Guruji, that's what I am saying. This is a pot and stones can be removed or refilled into it easily, but Guruji, how can I empty my mind? Further, Buddhist monk replied, Put one stone in this pot and remove 2 stones from it. Listening to it, Ankit said, How is it possible? If this pot has only 1 stone, then only 1 stone can be removed. How can I remove 2? The monk responded, Then put 2 stones in the pot and remove 4 stones from it. Then Ankit said, Guru, how this is also possible? This isn't a magical pot that would multiply the number of stones. If I put 1 stone it would become 2, and if I put 2 stones it would become 4. The Buddhist monk explained, This pot is not magical, but your mind is. When you remove 1 thought, 2 more come, and when you try to remove 2 thoughts you get 4 more thoughts. While doing this, thoughts continue like a long chain, and you never stop. You keep holding on to one thought after another. This pot will get filled with stones. But your mind will never be full, it's always empty. It can't empty itself from within. This is the illusion of the mind, that it has everything, yet it has nothing. Hearing this, the young man asked, "But will I always remain trapped in the web of my thoughts? Is there no way to escape this illusion of the mind?" In response, the Buddhist monk said, "Place half a stone in this clay pot." The young man did as instructed. Then the monk said, "Now, choose 1 stone from these and craft a small statue out of it for me. I know you're a skilled artist." Ankit took out a stone and began sculpting it before the Buddhist monk. However, he didn't find the first stone satisfactory. He took out the second stone, but it didn't meet his approval either. He wasn't satisfied with its color. Continuing this process, the young man removed all the stones from the pot. Observing this, the Buddhist monk said, "Now, the stone you first removed, try sculpting it. And imagine you don't have any other options left." The young man started sculpting the first stone as instructed and transformed it into a beautiful statue. He marveled at how he never thought this stone could be turned into such an exquisite sculpture. Hearing the young man's remark, the Buddhist monk explained, "Sometimes, when we have no other choice, we put all our energy into that option and make it the best. When we have too many choices, we can't even choose a stone." Our mind also opens thousands of options behind a single thought, and instead of focusing on the main thought, we get entangled in those thousands of useless thoughts. Then, the young man said, "Guru Dev, I understand your words very well, but now what should I do? Please guide me." The monk told the young man that emptying the mind, clearing it, is not a 2-day task. It's a lengthy process. So, are you prepared for it? The young man says, "Yes, Guru Dev, I am ready, no matter how long the process may be." Hearing this response, the Buddhist monk began to speak. "First of all, understand that the mind is not our enemy. We don't have to remove anything from the mind. Just let go of the thought that you have to empty the mind. The more you try to stop your thoughts, the more they will attack you with double the energy. Remember, the mind is like a child. If we want to hide something from a child, it becomes fixated on that very thing. It starts thinking about it. Similarly, when we try to remove a thought from our mind, we start thinking about the process of removing it, and our mind revolves around that thought. We couldn't remove what we wanted to remove. Instead, we buried that thought deeper within our minds. Always remember a mantra: let it come, let it go. Don't engage with them, don't dwell on removing them, don't think about catching them. Just understand that a thought arose and passed away. You were merely an observer. When the sense of being an observer arises within you, you become the seer, the witness. As you keep watching your thoughts, they start to become empty. Gradually, in the state of witnessing, you will realize one day that your heart, your mind, is completely free from thoughts because merely observing those thoughts reveals their futility. Afterward, the Buddhist monk said, "When you walk on a broken and uneven path, do you fill in the gaps with stones? No, you avoid the pitfalls and move your gaze forward. You have nothing to do with those gaps. You descend to the other side, and both the path and the pit stay behind." Similarly, you need to keep walking, focusing on your thoughts. As you do so, you'll descend beyond your mind. But for this, you need to put in some effort. You need to sit in meditation and observe your thoughts with the witness consciousness continually. Constant observation will lead you to a point where, one day, your heart will be completely empty of thoughts because the mere act of seeing will let you know the futility of those thoughts. On this, Ankit said, "It seems like this process can be quite lengthy. However, sometimes my thoughts bother me a lot, and I want to get rid of them instantly. Is there a method through which I can immediately free myself from my thoughts?" To this, the Buddhist monk said, "Our thoughts are connected to our breath. Just as we breathe, thoughts come to our minds. If you want to break the chain of your thoughts, you'll have to break the chain of your breath. Whenever you find yourself troubled by numerous thoughts, at that time, you can practice full-body breathing. The more you engage in physical exercises, the more you will detach from your breath, and as you detach from your breath, you will detach from those thoughts. The chain will keep breaking, and as soon as the chain of breath breaks, the chain of thoughts will also naturally break. You can do this with speed, or you can dance, or you can even attempt to control your breath while sitting quietly, making sure there's no pattern or rhythm to it. When that rhythm breaks, you'll find peace and joy within your mind. To free yourself from the thoughts in your mind, a worldly person must fully immerse themselves in their work. They should be completely engaged in their task. Once a person is fully immersed in their work, they won't be haunted by thoughts of the past or preoccupied with thoughts of the future. Their entire focus will be on their work. If we discuss how a task is done with complete dedication and with the entire mind, it will be a very lengthy discussion. We will explore this another time. Concluding this story here, I request you to subscribe to this channel if you have gained even a little knowledge or found a glimmer of light in your mind. Please leave your comments in the comments section, letting us know how you liked the video. Until we meet in the next story, take care of yourself and stay blissful.